order to acquire content, learners need recursive access and engagement with information and experience. Providing practice opportunities which engage students across the modalities of speaking, reading, writing, and listening is one way of supporting learning and boosting long-term memory. You will recall that learning is a bit of a messy, nonlinear process. So offering repeated and varied exposure across these modalities is one strategy proven to support learning. While many traditional teaching practices encourage listening, reading, and writing, it's critically important to not forget the importance of speaking to negotiate ideas and get real-time feedback. Sometimes teachers worry that too many speaking activities can lead to noisy classrooms, but noise can be a sign of active engagement. Consider making use of speaking games, role-playing, paraphrasing practice, group presentations, turn and talk, and think, pair, share activities to help integrate communicative competence into the learning process. This can be a low-stakes, fun opportunity to let students drive learning and check their understanding up to a given moment. As you are designing instruction, consider practices that move beyond the teacher talking and the students listening. Integration across modalities is easy to do. For example, you can encourage students to activate their prior knowledge by asking them to describe visuals or make predictions about the meaning of vocabulary or charts in a reading. They can follow along as they listen to a reading and speak to peers as a precursor to writing. The simple act of talking through your ideas before writing can do much to reduce writer's block or anxiety about writing. Don't forget that low-stakes retrieval practice can occur across modalities as well. Simply starting a class by asking students to discuss or write down what was learned the previous day does some of that powerful retrieval work. But retrieval practice can also make use of learning. Consider letting your students design their own comprehension questions for the class. As you design content goals for your students, consider tasks such as asking them to create their own quizzes, set their own goals through personal reflection, and then have them go back periodically to reflect on their progress. Teachers can also consider formative assessment that makes use of all modalities, not just written quizzes, but also opportunities to present, discuss, collaborate, and explain thinking. When designing instruction for multilingual learners, remember that language acquisition requires repeated and varied exposure to structures and vocabulary, which means that the integration across modalities just discussed will provide additional learning support to all learners, including those with multilingual resources. Now that we have a sense of why integration across modalities is meaningful, let's take a closer look at how this could work in various contexts. Take, for example, a given reading assignment and an exercise we call the question generator. Teachers can provide a pre-reading strategy that activates prior knowledge and previews the vocabulary necessary for comprehension. For multilingual learners, this can include previewing a reading in a home language. Pre-reading strategies can also make use of graphic organizers or KWL charts, as well as pair or group discussion. Students can read quietly or listen and follow along. After reading, students can generate their own comprehension questions or work in dynamic groups to do this. Multilingual learners may benefit from sentence starters as needed by proficiency level to help them make good use of this exercise. Students can discuss the answers, chart them on the board, and reflect in notebooks or reflective journals. The additional benefit of the question generator exercise is that it creates space for prediction, retrieval practice, and reflection. Let's look at another example of integration across modalities, this time in a math class. You can start a lesson by asking students to recall a math concept that you've been learning. This retrieval practice can be done as a discussion or writing activity. After reviewing the concept as a whole class, students can then be put into dynamic groups to design their own set of problems associated with this math concept. This activity encourages negotiation of meaning. Groups can then share the problems with each other or the whole class, which also allows for negotiation of the solution strategy to solve the problem. Once done, students can be given an opportunity to track their learning and/or questions in a reflective journal or exit ticket. Let's try that one more time in another context. Imagine you are teaching a particular science concept using a reading. Students can again make use of the pre-reading strategies such as front-loading of vocabulary and previewing in home language. Then ask your students to work in groups to design their own visual graphic to explain the concept. After the group presentations, the teacher can facilitate a group discussion in which a new class graphic is designed to incorporate all of the key elements of the science concept. Students can then complete a reflective journal and/or exit ticket to record their enhanced understanding and additional questions. Take a moment now to consider activities you use in your classroom. Do these already integrate speaking, reading, writing, and listening? If not, how can you adapt them to do so?